Well, hey there everybody, welcome back to the channel. I'm Adam, thanks for hanging out with me again today. Today's video is going to be the Ask Me Anything Answers video. Well, part one of two, maybe three. I decided for this one to try something different and answer some in one video and then basically break the video up into two, maybe three pieces depending on how long it runs, instead of just one long hour and a half, 2 hour long rambling video. I think it'll just suit everybody's time a little bit better. You know, if you get a 15-20 minute video today, 15-20 minute video tomorrow, it may work out better in the long run to where everybody can see and, you know, get the whole video instead of, you know, watching 15 minutes of it and having to go do something else and missing the rest of the answers. Anyway, we're going to just try it this time, see how it goes. I am going to answer the first question that hasn't been asked yet, but yes, the beard is shorter. Decided to trim the beard the other day. You know, spring's here, it's going to start warming up. So trimmed the beard back, and my preferred beard trimming technique is just to take the big trimmer and just go meh and shape it from there. It's not perfect. It'll be touched up here and there over the next couple weeks. But yes, much shorter than normal. So let's get into the answers for the questions. So Mo's RCs asked, "Hey, hope you're well. What Tamiya motor and ESC do you recommend for a Porsche build? Not looking for anything crazy, just enough to put a smile on my face. Prefer 2 to 3S LiPo compatible." I was like, "Or do you want brushed? Do you want brushless?" And, you know, kind of asked him a little bit of a question. So he's a good point. Wanted a combo for the new Porsche 50th anniversary, which will likely be a shelf queen, but we'll have the odd drive and a combo for the Honda City Turbo. Didn't want to get mad, not fussed if it's brushed or brushless. So my go-to for most of my builds is either the Sport Tuned or Torque Tuned and a 1060 ESC. Tamiya's ESCs are meh. They're overpriced for what they are, and some of them have had reliability issues. The 1060s are really solid and you know, go great. They fit in pretty much everything. The only issues with those is the power wires, and if it's a shelf queen predominantly, probably not going to be that big of a deal. You know, just have to take the body off, turn the power on usually, because that little power wire is not sufficient for the stock Tamiya locations in many of them. That said, for Tamiya, you can always go for the TBLE for, is it the S or the E? I don't remember. The TBLE 4, it's brushed or brushless. Now, Tamiya brushless motors are ridiculously expensive. Like I said, I wouldn't even contemplate buying one. So for me, I would go brushed. And if you want something a little bit fancier and a little bit nicer looking, something like the GT Tuned is a great one. The BZ and the RZ motors are great as well. Same can design, just different wines. And I want to say the TBLE 04 can do them all. I know it can do the GT Tuned. I have that in a couple cars. But honestly, the 1060 can do them all without, you know, having any issues at all. The TBLE 04, it's a little underpowered for some of the Tamiya motors. So personally, I would go 1060, and with an on-road car, probably one of the, like a RZ or BZ motor, whichever one you can find. I think they're pretty much right around the same ballpark. GT Tuned is going to be slower. It has a gob of torque. I really love those in the four-wheel drives. But I would say probably that would be the way I would go. Probably 1060 or like a RZ or BZ motor in it. So Alfred Yost asked, I was wondering if you ever go to any RC events or races. I understand that working this may not be possible. I just went to a track 3 hours for me to run my Kyosho Mini Z car. A friend of mine was also there. In fact, my wife even went. That surprised me. So basically, I don't really go to any events. We've had some little like meet and greet type, you know, show your RCs off events here in my local area. I've intended to go to those, but it just never worked out time-wise for one reason or another. it seems like they schedule that where it's either going to be like nuclear hot and sitting out in the parking lot all day, and I'm not interested in doing that, or it's frigid cold and raining. So it just hasn't worked out. As far as going to events to drive, absolutely, I have no interest in that. I am not a sociable people person. So big events with a lot of strangers, I'm not terribly comfortable at. And I don't like running cars with people I don't know. Just because I don't want to be responsible for somebody else's car getting broken. And it's intimidating, and I don't, see the draw to it myself. Let me rephrase that. I do see the draw to it. Get out there with a bunch of people, running around, having a good time. But just going out and saying, hey, I'm going to go to this event, it's just not my thing. Now, that said, Al's been going to Adrenaline for practices and stuff, and I may just ride out there with him one day just to hang out and, check out the scene and, just be there to hang out with him and watch him do his thing. But going to like a big event where there's going to be a ton of people and a lot of racing and all that stuff, spectator maybe, but it would have to be local. Me driving 3 hours just to sit there and watch cars go around a track, probably not going to happen. So Brad Kelman asked, what new Tamiyas are you getting this year? So far I have the Lunchbox Evo on pre-order, and I have the Quirkhopper on pre-order. The rest of them didn't really excite me much. The F-150, I really hemmed and hawed on it, and I basically came to the realization, like, if I've had to think about it for a month, I really don't need it or want it. A lot of my RC purchases, unfortunately, are impulse buys, like, ooh, and I get really excited for it, and I buy it, sometimes to my detriment. RC10 four-wheel drive. But overall, it really depends on price. So like the new Zaxpeed TT02, I may get that when it comes out, but I didn't pre-order it. It's a cool looking car. I don't know whether I want to put all those decals on, but it is a cool looking car. The Mini Rally, maybe not. I mean, I've got this one. It's kind of the same, just not a Mini. But I don't know, maybe. The rest of the stuff that came out, I really don't care. Now, I did just order something big. A-Main put a bunch of the tractor trailers on sale, but they were all back ordered. Some of them were available, some of them had estimated times that they're getting them, and some just said back ordered. So I went through and I did pick out a new truck and a new trailer. So that'll be coming April, May at some point. But that is a back burner build. I got that because it was a really good price on them. And, I've still got to get the light and sound unit and all that stuff for it. And it's not a top of the list build. That was just right place, right time, right price. And went ahead and ordered that. But as far as everything else goes, the 50th Tamiya, I could care less. I had multiple chances of ordering one, and I really don't care. So yeah, right now, just basically those three are the only thing I have on my list so far that I've pre-ordered. Whatever else they come out with this year, I don't know. We'll have to see what it is, but if it's as disappointing as the beginning of the year was for me, I doubt it. So Brad Brown, I have a question that's been nagging me for a long time. Tamiya Frog and a couple others have those stiff wires sticking up. It's rare and non-existent in other companies. What's the idea of these wires? I can only think of them working like a roll bar to get the thing back on its tires, which is not so effective. I think it also raises the center of gravity. If there's a clear advantage or purpose of them, I have a love-hate feeling for them, some engineer insisted on. So, what he's talking about, I don't know if you guys can see him on the camera, but the steel upright wires on some of the buggies, they do serve a purpose. So, back in the day, you had big, long, 18, 24-inch long antenna wires, just to get the distance signal for the receiver to catch it. So what you would do is you would basically put these in place, wrap your antenna wire around there, and then you could loop it through the top, and it would act as your antenna mast instead of the antenna tubes. The Mark Bryant wibbly wobbly. So instead of running the wire up through the tube, it wrapped around the wire. So that is the main intent, but some of them like this that have the dual wires, yes, it is kind of there to help protect the body. When you do roll over, it kind of acts as a somewhat roll bar of sense. Unfortunately, they do get bent and twisted fairly quickly after some good rollovers. So effective, ineffective, but the main purpose was for the antenna wire to wrap around and act as your antenna mast. Oops, sit it down. To keep your antenna up as tall as possible so you'd get the most range out of your radio system back in the day. Now, new modern radios, you've got a 3-inch antenna and your range is twice what it was on a good day back then, and that's with your antenna wire buried up inside of your car. So not needed today, but still there for, the vintage factor of it, and that's how they originally came. So Anthony Prisco asks, ask me anything with all the RCs you have, how do you keep track of all your radios, and does your wife help with your RC hobby? So as far as the radios go, I have most of my RCs on a computer radio system. So most of them hold between 25 and, between 20 and 40 cars. This one holds a lot more. This one I think is up to 120, 150 or so with the memory card that's in it, but I can't upgrade the memory card to a larger one and get, I think, up to 300 on there. So a lot of almost all the cars that I built have either the Spectrum or the Radio Link systems in there, so they're bound to one of 5 radios, and the rest are the ready runs or their own specialty radios that are kind of matched with the trucks. Like the tractor trailers are on a big 6-channel Fly Sky stick radio. The ready to runs, Arma is making it easy now with some of theirs because their radios are matching to the style of the truck. This is my Mini Creighton. It has Creighton written up on here, and the color matches the color of the truck. So that's helping make it easy. Otherwise, they're just labeled with label maker. So I don't have a terrible amount of individual radios anymore. Now I do have a tote or two of old RTR radio systems out in the garage, all my old Traxxas, and then I've got a ton of Arma and the HOSIM and DRC, all that stuff, in a cabinet in the other room. Now those, like I said, they just have the label maker stickers on there. I got a cheap label maker from my wholesale store, and just when I get the cars out of the box, I just print up a label real quick, stick it on the radio, and rock it that way. Now, that being said, a tip for you guys out there that have a ton of radios, do yourself a favor, go out and go to Amazon and buy some little tiny baggies. I just take the batteries that come in the radio, like these are some Armas, came in with a recent RTR. I'll put them in the radio, I'll run it, and as soon as I'm done running it, I just stick them back in a bag, and I have them all in a drawer beside me. So they're 4 batteries per bag, and that keeps your batteries from not rotting your radios. So if you've ever left batteries in a radio for a year and come back and it's full of crust and crunch and nasty and you have to clean it, you don't want to do that very often. So just a tip, a bag of those baggies is like $4, and you can use them for hardware parts, spare parts, batteries and stuff like that. It just keeps getting that habit of just putting them in when you go to run it, take them out when you come back in, and your batteries last longer because there's no parasitic drain of them all being connected together in the radio, and no chance of you wrecking your radios. So Paul at Coughlin's Corner asks, hey man, Tyco cliffhanger, slot cars, or AFX? So cliffhangers were something that I wanted desperately as a kid. I never did get a cliffhanger kit. I did get a couple of the Tyco regular slot car tracks, and I loved them. So I'm going to have to go with the cliffhanger ones just because, you know, how badass is it running a car up the wall and back down? Now, I never had one, so I don't know how actually effective and good they were. I think they had stronger magnets in them to make sure they got sucked down to the track, so they probably performed fairly terribly compared to a standard slot car, but it was still, you know, every time I got a Sears catalog as a kid, you know, you see that big long 4-foot hoop going up a wall and coming back down. You know, I really wanted that. Clint Stroke asked, do you prefer custom or box art on your builds? It depends. I would say for the Tamiya kits, 9 out of 10 of them, I'm probably going to do box art. Just because that's the way I kind of fell in love with them. You know, the big wig. Sure, I could have done that in like a black and a gray, or a silver and a black, or a silver and a white, or something like that to make it a little bit different. But I just really love the look of it, the way it is on the box. And, you know, seeing them in the magazines and all that stuff as a kid, it's kind of the way I know them. So that's kind of the way I want them. Now, I don't have to be a stickler, and, you know, not every sticker has to go on it. Not everything has to be in the exact perfect place. And sometimes I do change up the colors. You know, sometimes it's a blue that's kind of a blah blue, and I can do, you know, the metallic blue instead. But it's still box art theme. Now, obviously, this one is not. Still box art paint scheme, more or less, but something different, different colors, kind of different layout, and, you know, just suited me better than the orange of the rally car. I like the cobalt green on it much better. It looks more like a, you know, cruise it around town bug with the extra bumpers on it than a rally bug. The Mad Bull is supposed to be black. I went gunmetal on it. So I would say probably 90% of the box art, or to me, is our box art. And, you know, the other 10% are minor changes, sometimes, you know, complete. Now, I do love custom builds, you know, the lunch boxes and, you know, the fun things to do. But those take more time, thought, and effort than, you know, box art does. So tend to kind of lean that way. But I love both sides of it, honestly. But for the most part, it's box art for the Tamiyas and the Kyoshos. But yeah, like the Optima, I did not do box art on it. I did the cobalt green on that as well. So yeah, it's a little bit of mixy. But for the most part, within the theme of box art for the most part. So VSCI 79, if you were Philip Poor Boys, what chassis would be chosen for the 2026 Speedrun Challenge? Two answers for that. One is kind of the logical one, and the second one is the funny one that I would like to see. So, logically thinking through, I would probably say the DTO4 chassis would be what I would go with. Just because it is inexpensive, they're readily available, and, you know, parts are easy to get. You know, it's still a new buggy, so, you know, you can get replacement parts. It should be pretty tough in rollovers and stuff like that, so it doesn't have a Lexan body that's going to get cracked and smashed. But, you know, who knows how long that roll cage is going to last grinding across pavement. But I would say that would probably be my logical choice. Now, the illogical choice would be something really stupid like a GF06. You know, it is just packed with gears. You're going to be very limited to what you can do. It's basically going to be how fast can you make it go without destroying it. But it's kind of an illogical choice because they're not that prevalent. They're not inexpensive kits, and not everybody has access to them and the parts for them. So not a great pick for it, but I do think it would be funny trying to see how many people can get a big 6x6 truck up to max speed. So Spare Time RC, what are your top 3 brands for ready to run, and what are your top 3 brands for kit builds? So let's start with kit builds first. So Tamiya is number 1. Biggest variety, biggest bang for your buck for the most part for being able to build. Now, limited a little bit on what you can do with them because they're not the most robust cars and trucks in the world, but they do hold up pretty well. Kyosho is number 2, just because they have some really, really awesome kits. Unfortunately, they are more expensive, but I do think you are getting a little bit more for the money. Whether they're worth that amount of money is, some of them are pushing it, especially once you get into all these special editions they've done lately. I don't really care much for them because they're just tacking a hefty price tag on a livery change and maybe a few extra parts and pieces. And after that, well, you're kind of limited. The pool of kits are getting smaller and smaller and smaller. So I would say after that, it would probably be something like, the SCX 10s and stuff like that, building trail trucks. They're getting few and far between as well. Everything is now just ready to, I would say with the trail truck industry, they're ready to modify. They're ready to run out of the box, but pretty much everybody just starts stripping parts off of them when you get them and building them up the way they want them. So, does it make sense that they're ready to run? I don't know. But definitely Kyosho and Tamiya are the number 2 and number 1 spots. For ready to run right now, Arma. I have not been disappointed in any of my Arma purchases. I absolutely adore the Big Rock. The Gorgon was great. Body wasn't the best, but that's been heavily modified now, running 3S and new body, new tires. My Granite is still kicking. That's on 3S now. The Vortex has been updated to brushless. The Quake is absolutely awesome. The 4S Creighton, the Mini Creighton, I've gotten quite a few in the last 2 years, and I've been able to just go out there and romp on them and have broken very little, if hardly anything, on all of them. Other ready to runs. I hate to say it, but Traxxas, even though I haven't bought any in quite a while, just for my disdain of the company in whole, and they're forever rewrapping old cars, so it's like I don't need another Rustler, I don't need another Stampede. And the X-Maxes and all that stuff, they're great, but I don't want to spend that much money. So I really just haven't invested anything into them, mostly because of things that the company has done in the past 5 years or so. But they do offer a tremendous amount of part support for all of their cars and trucks. You can have a Rustler you bought 25 years ago, still go into the hobby shop today and get parts that fit it and repair it and get it back running. So I can't fault them for that. Other ready to run, I really don't have that many other ready to run kits around. I would love to say Team Corrali, but I had a hell of a time with the Kagama. Now that it's got all the upgraded parts on it and it works well, I do love it. But it did kind of sour me to want to go buy another one. I'd say Habao, but I really haven't bought any that are ready to run, so I can't vouch for the quality of the electronics and radio systems in them. I know you have some, and they work well from what I've experienced with them. I would kind of put Habao in that gray area in between the ready to run and the RTRs. So I'm going to give them third place for the RTR category just because the kits I've gotten have been like the 80% ready to run. Just had to throw electronics in and put the paint the bodies and get them ready to go. So let's put them in third place right now for the ready to run category. I have enjoyed the Habao TT 2.0. I'm looking forward to running the SC10, and I've got the new buggy here to go, so I'm excited about them. But right now I'm going to have to put them in third place just with limited experience other than the few I've run of yours. So we got 2 more for today's video, and then we're going to break and come back for another video tomorrow. So Danny'sville, hey pal, question is, are you planning on doing another wacky build like a Mater or the Mudscuts or Mr. Bean car? Yes and no. I do enjoy doing them. It's just getting the inspiration and motivation to do them. The reason I'm looking over is I've got the A-Team van over there. It's like 90% complete. I just need 2 little pieces to finish it off, and I have not gotten those 2 other pieces to finish it off because I can't find ones that I really want to spend the money on. Basically, I need the visor and the rear wing. And I've seen like one person on eBay 3D printing them, and it's out of PLA, and I'm not thrilled about getting PLA, spending the money to get the PLA. So I'm hopefully be able to find the files somewhere or something to print them myself here in something like PETG, something a little bit more durable, maybe even ABS. But that one is like 90% there. It just needs those 2 pieces to make it look right. But yeah, I've got some more ideas for lunchboxes. I actually have one in the closet, I think, to build. But yeah, I enjoy them, but it's kind of hard because you're limited to what you can kind of do with off-the-shelf parts for the most part. You know, I'm not going to try to sit here and make a body for something. You know, I can retrofit things and do all that stuff, but there will be more. I can guarantee there will be more. It just has to align, right? You know, the idea, the timing, and the kit all have to kind of come together, kind of like the Mr. Bean kit. I wanted to do that for a while, but sourcing the bodies were a pain in the United States, and you know, I had the kit here to do it. It just, you know, finding the reproduction body to fit it and all that stuff. And then when the new MB01 came out, I was like, okay, I got to order that and make the Mr. Bean thing happen. But yes, there will be more in the future, I'm sure. So the last one for today is Roland Labrie. I have a question on Tamiya kits from the same chassis. Do you find that most of them are interchangeable, or where they mostly different? I'm restoring a frog and wonder if any of the other kits have the same parts. Hopefully this makes sense. So yes, Tamiya is great and terrible about reusing parts from one chassis to the other. So the frog and the brat are probably the 2 closest comparably. The brat is basically the frog chassis with the Subaru body and different wheels and tires on there. Now I think the front spindles are different for the tires, but overall it's basically the same thing. Now the Blackfoot and the frog are same overall chassis. Front end's different because of the different way the shocks mount. The frog had the inboard spring dampened shock basically, and the Blackfoots had the independent front suspension. So yes, that ORV style chassis went across a lot. A lot of the parts were reused, so the chassis, the transmission are basically the same across all of them. All the re-releases, there was some differences in the original ones, but you know, overall there is a lot of changeover. The best place to go is Tamiya Base and sign up for a free account over there. You can go in and get your manual for the frog, and then you can go download a manual for, say, the brat, and cross-reference them. You know, say, okay, this is running the same parts tree here, 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 and here, and it has the same hardware here, here, and here, and the same metal bags, so you know that most of all that stuff is going to fit back and forth. Tamiya USA is really good because you can, even if they don't have the parts in stock or they've been discontinued, a lot of times they'll show the part numbers for each individual thing. So you can see, you know, are these chassis plates the same as these chassis plates? Just compare the 2 part numbers and go that way. It's basically what I end up doing. You know, there's a lot of stuff that looks the same, not quite the same. Like the hubs on the front of this one look identical to Grasshopper hubs. Or the front spindles on this look identical to Grasshopper spindles. The only difference is the axle length is longer on these than on the Grasshopper. So basically you can take the spindles off of the Mad Bull, put them onto your Grasshopper, and run big monster truck tires on it. Now you'll have turning issues because you don't have the same length arms. You'll have to take the bumper off and all that stuff. But yes, Tamiya is great to a fault of reusing parts from one vehicle to the next. So like the DTO 1, 2, 3, and 4, all of them are sharing some parts across those things. It kind of, You know, whether it's a steering knuckle, an axle, something is going to travel across all of those platforms. So it can be kind of confusing, but there's a quick research, comparing the manuals, comparing parts listings on Tamiya sites and stuff like that, makes it pretty easy to figure out, you know, what can be swapped over. And sometimes searching for one part versus another part, unless you're using the part numbers. So, you know, you can put in, you know, Mad Bull steering spindle, and you may get wildly different results from a lunchbox steering spindle, and I think they're the same. Not 100% sure on that, but I'm pretty sure they're the same. But yeah, there's a lot of interchangeability between parts and pieces on the Tamiya kits. Alright guys, so that's going to be it for this part of it. We'll pick up part 2 tomorrow, and I hope everybody's enjoying it. And let me know what you think about the shorter installments of this instead of the one big long movie length answer session. Everybody out there, as always, be happy, be healthy, be safe, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. See ya.